Did you know that when parents are asked what they would do if they had 1 extra hour every day, most parents say they would use it for sleep? Are you exhausted trying to balance kids, work, and play? Do you want more purpose and less monotony in your life? Do you get overly irritated, frustrated, and angry with your children? If you've answered yes to some of these questions, then I'm glad you're here. I know how busy you are, and I'm not here to take your time. I'm here to help you take it back. Close your windows, open your mind, and let's kick some ass. Hey everybody, and welcome back to Kick-Ass Dad, Passionate Parenting in a Volatile World. I've got a very special show for you today with two very special people in my life. And I've got Jay Forty and Amy Alcini with me today. How are you guys?
Great.
Great. I knew we'd talk right at the same time.
I love that. I knew you guys were I knew there was going to be some silent space right there because neither of you guys wanted to be the first to jump in and let the other person do it, and then you jumped on top of each other. I love it. I knew that was going to happen.
It's what Italians do.
Yes, I don't think I've mentioned to everyone that all three of us are Italian, and we just happen to be all working on this these items together. So I'm so excited. I'm just going to jump right in here. Today's show is about gift giving, and we thought it was really powerful moving into the holiday season. There's a lot of misconceptions out there when it comes to gift giving. What are the best ways to do it? How can we do it? We may even shamelessly promote some of our own products today. But I just wanted to make sure that, we've been having these conversations offline, and I thought it was really powerful that we would have them online as well and have an opportunity to share it with our listeners. So Jay and I were actually talking about a phenomenon in at home and in the workplace. And Jay, why don't you share with our listeners what that phenomenon is?
That's because you can't say it, Mike.
That's exactly right. I can't say it.
It's a guilt gift giving. And so I've been thinking about gift giving around this time of year with Thanksgiving here, and a lot of my writing is obviously on the whole concept of greatness and being grateful for things. And it seemed like, we give gifts for the wrong reasons. And I know that's one of the things we're going to talk about here, but what if we, took a look at the reasons why we give gifts? And many times we give gifts is because somebody else gave us one. And so we have this reason for giving a gift is not out of the kindness of your heart, or you really care about them, or you really want to show them that they matter to you, but rather you did it, so I need to do it. And then the weird part about it happens because now I start checking about the value. So what did you give me of value, and what did I give you of value? And all of a sudden the reason for gift giving, the idea of sharing something emotional and making this really strong connection that we're two wonderful, great human beings who are just sharing a gift, and the gift, we've just learned to think that the gift has always got to have some monetary value. So I wanted to throw that out there, and I wanted to challenge our thinking as we go through this to say, as we think about gifts, how do we get away from the guilt part of it? Give it because it's right. And then how do we have the tough conversations, the crucial conversations with our families, so that we don't get into a habit of putting ourselves into debt to buy things we don't want for people we don't care about. And that frequently is the routine that happens around at this time of year.
Well, I agree with you, and we are in such a consumer-driven society that it really that's the message that we get constantly. What do you think, Amy?
Well, I think you guys bring up a really good point, and I think that what we were talking about also, and is the idea like Jay touched on, but using kind of our intelligence, what we're born with, to kind of really think about what are the things that are important to the people we love. And by taking that time to kind of investigate what they do each day, what their dreams are, what they're working for on their largest BHAG, like I love that you use that term, big, hairy, audacious goal. So if we could maybe put a little piece of a puzzle into that for them, that's really going to thrill them because, we all have to make ends meet, and we all have to, live, and the practicality. But when someone helps you accomplish your biggest dream, whatever that is, and it could be a long-term goal, I just feel like it has so much meaning. And for me, I'm always searching for gifts, even at the holidays or not the holidays, that really will give someone a sense of meaning, like, geez, I must have thought about it because I knew that was important to them, and if I can do it, it's great. So I think that that's kind of what you guys were, that's kind of what we're maybe leading to, but I think it's so great because I feel like there's a thoughtfulness in that that's really tender and really kind of gentle.
I think you're opening up like there's a whole nother picture that's kind of opening up for me here in this conversation, and that picture is how are we treating each other on a daily basis, and then are we listening to other human beings on the planet? The people that we spend our time with, our families, because a lot of times people go, well, I don't know what to get them. Well, yeah, you don't know what to get them. You don't know what they like because you've never asked, right?
Mm-hmm. And it's also observation, because I know that sometimes, I mean, all of us are evolving and all of us are learning, and myself included, and I see myself in this personal growth process, and it's sometimes hard for me to articulate. I mean, I find myself getting stuck like that sometimes. Things that are important to me, I'm not quite maybe evolved enough really to kind of really talk about that or manifest it, but it's a little bit deeper than that. It's like us really caring about the other person to a point where we kind of feel that in them. And to me, I mean, that's just when I receive gifts like that from people who I can tell have been watching me without even me being able to really articulate it, it just blows my heart up. It just, wow.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And it's so funny you mentioned that, because it really does come back to listening and observing. And I am no master at this, but I'm getting better and I'm working on it. And so for me, opening that kind of door to other people and really being aware of who they are, what what their goals are, and then helping. So I'll give you an example. Amy, the other day, my wife is an avid writer, a blogger, and she's got her, she just writes wonderful things. She doesn't quite have the exposure. And so Amy was like, hey, why don't we post it on Positively Positive? I know the editors. So we shot it over to Amy. Amy shot it up. She got it posted for her, and she got like 5,000 likes in 2 days, and it blew her mind. The only thing Amy did was she listened, and she knew she had a connection, and she just connected the dots and made somebody's freaking, month. And I think that's what we can do, more of. I mean, is that what you're kind of getting at, Jay? Like, as opposed to kind of getting away from the guilt?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the guilt, there's so many things that the three of us are working on that indicate that where we are is not where we're supposed to be. And I think gift giving is right there as well. And that's, my partner does it best. So when he sees something, just like Amy's talking about, when he sees something that is just right for somebody, he doesn't buy it and store it till Christmas. He says, here's a perfect thing that you need right now, that I'm thinking about you right now. You should have it right now. So our framework about gift giving is we don't give that much until we get to a holiday that requires us to give it. And then we have this set of rules about giving. And I just wanted to shake all that up. Why is it that we have to wait until a holiday? And then why do we have to buy something? Great if the buy something is the right thing. But what if it were our daily process of showing up big to our own life and telling the people around us that we care about them? And we can tell them that we care about them by doing things for them. We can tell them we care about them by buying things for them. But there's no mandate that we have to. And I guess that's the point that I would really like to see. And maybe I'm going to make it terrible for every kid out there saying, look, Christmas is all about the present. No, it's not. Christmas is about the message of the season. The present is supposed to remind us that at least at one moment, we slowed everything down and told you were important. And what I hear you and Amy saying is, why wait for that one moment? Shouldn't we just develop this attitude of gift giving, where gift giving isn't necessarily buying, but it's extending yourself out of yourself and into someone else?
I love that. And it's almost like, and a lot of us aren't even, and here's the other part of giving, right? Most of us, we're pretty terrible at receiving.
Yeah.
We're really bad, and it's hard for us. And I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's part of that guilt consciousness that's kind of that where we come from. But it's like somebody giving you a gift out of the blue. It's like oh no I couldn't. It's like that mentality, and it's like you're denying that person that blessing of giving. So how do we begin to receive gracefully? What are your thoughts on that, Amy?
Well, I think Jay made a really good point about the attitude of gift giving. I think we study a lot in the Course of Miracles I read from each day, and it's like when we can extend that kind of, that complete holiness in someone else, that kind of person that they want to be, if you think about it, when we're our best around people that expect us to be our best. So it's kind of like it's just this great cycle that kind of interacts on each other. So, when I hold this space for you that you're going to be the best person, and that I see that in you. Like, I recognize that in you all the time. So when we talk in the interaction, we can do this with everyone we see, because there's people that do things to us, or they have bad days, or, and then they think when they see us again, oh, geez, will Amy remember when I said something? And the thing is, it's overlooking that. I guess in the Bible, they talk about too, like charity, like Jesus saw through the leper to his perfect self. And in that moment, the leper's transformed because he saw through his holy being. And so I think that kind of ties into what we're talking about, because you can give the gifts to them of what they really truly want, as opposed to what they're telling you, which again is what you're saying about, I think that's tied to receiving. I think it's hard for us to articulate, and I think that's part of the reason that it's hard for us to receive, because maybe we're not actually in touch with that exactly, what we really want, because you're right. It's very like, wow, I'm thinking about what I really want. And in some ways we're trained to think that may be selfish, but it's really not, because when we can get in touch with that, we can give so much more. But I agree with both of you that it seems to be against human nature. So that's why I like to read and meditate on this stuff every day, because it kind of retrains us in a way that we're not societally trained to receive. And so yeah, just more to your point, both of you.
I got a thought on that.
Blew my mind. Go ahead, Jay.
I think part of the reason why it's hard for us to receive is again, these are all just the same theme rolling through all of this. It's that we haven't taken the time to know and understand somebody. So when we give them a gift, they're opening it with a little bit of apprehension, saying, God, I don't even know what they're going to give me, because they don't know me that well. And then I have to be grateful and thrilled that you gave me something that has no value or meaning to me. It's this really difficult moment. That's why it's much easier to give, because you can connect in and know the person if you've done your work, if you want to call it that. So part of it, I think of like in the workplace, a really good manager in the workplace is somebody who truly knows their people the way a parent has to know their kids, to know that this kid gets the microscope and this kid gets the Guitar Hero if they're buying a gift, because they all don't get a microscope for the kid, who's not the scientist and the kid who is the scientist. So I think this misunderstanding of how to read our kids, how to read our employees, means we don't know how to deliver a gift. And so to me, I think that's at the backbone. If we knew how to do this, then the gift that we get would be right, and we would have a really different visceral and emotional reaction to it, because it's meaningful, instead of, oh, thank you, I got a bag of M&Ms. I don't know if I told you, but I'm allergic to chocolate, but thanks anyway.
I think, Jay, you kind of just took a shotgun and blew away the golden rule, because what the golden rule is do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. But I think, and we all know that if you take it a step further, so get rid of the golden rule, take it to the platinum rule, treat other people as they want to be treated. And I think that's where we can do a lot better with our gift giving, right?
I think it's exactly. In fact, us, Mike, we have the rhodium rule, which is yet one more, a higher level up. That's the know yourself, be yourself, and let everybody else be themselves.
Oh, so, and that's beautiful, Jay, because that's right to Amy's point about Jesus, like taking right. What was he able to? He was able to look at the world the way it was in complete acceptance, and then look into the leper's eyes with complete knowing that there was the perfect spiritual being beneath that the exterior, and that's where that transformation occurs. And letting people be exactly who they are, and being able to see them for the perfection that is their birthright.
And I think that's right, but then it brings us back to a practical world. So we can go spiritual on that, but I also know that you got kids, you've got uncles and aunts, you've got people showing up And so what do? We want to look in deeper and see what these people are all about, but how do we do that? We have these busy lives. How am I supposed to possibly understand what moves you? What are your talents, values, and interests? How do I know where you spend your time? If I haven't spent any time with you all year, why would you think that I have some way of giving you something meaningful now? Maybe I wouldn't. So my challenge is to parents, before they start this incessant need to buy a nice big gift for their kids, is to say, what do I know about this kid? How well do I know them? What are their hobbies? What are their interests? And basically, all of this stuff just gives us information to figure out what would be right. So, Amy, let me throw it to you. What do you think? How do we help people figure out, how do they, understand and figure out who other people are?
Well, I think this is beautiful because it all leads into this kind of overarching conversation of a paradigm that we've kind of made. And Malcolm Gladwell talks about this a lot. He's one of my favorite nonfiction authors. And he talks about, how we just as a society, out of convenience, have kind of put people in kind of clusters or glumps, or and especially with the standardized testing, if you look at it in terms of like a larger educational idea, we have standardized testing that determines where kids go to school, what they might or might not do, what they think that they're good at or not. I mean, talk about an archaic way of addressing an individual. I mean, I think of it as a word maybe like individuation. So it's exactly what you and Mike and I was listening to a podcast earlier that Mike had done earlier, but actually yesterday, the one he did with David Wood. But it's very much about taking this one sentient child and really going deep instead of horizontal. We talk about this a lot. I mean, it's much better to have a few people going deep than try to enlist, thousands of people shallow. We don't want 1,000 people going shallow. All great movements have started with a few people going deep. So I think that's exactly what we're talking about. It's just a retraining of the way that we've been taught. We've grown up with standardized tests. Our whole life has been, what group do you fit into? So it's us kind of changing a paradigm on a very macro level to say, no, we don't believe that anymore. And we believe that, taking an individual and going deep into their needs and wants is way more effective than having 1,000 people be in some kind of group.
No, I absolutely agree with that. And that's so funny that you say that, because just working with Jay and in the short time that we work together, the idea is to help people as individuals figure out, and to the greatness zone, figure out what you love to do, what's unique to you, what are your unique sets of talents, and then what does a great world look like to you? And then so now you're teaching to that person instead of to that whatever group they fit into. And we'll get more into that in a second. But I wanted to go back real quick about the practicality for parents and kids and buying gifts for kids for Christmas. And my wife found this great thing online. And it's a Christmas list. So the child takes this little list, but it's a format. And so what it says is, "Dear Santa, for Christmas this year, I want," and then it has a line, and then it says, "I need," and then it has a line, and then it says, "I'll wear," and it has a line, and it says, "I'll read," and it has a line, and it says ... and I'd really love for you to bring me, and then it's got a line, "Love the child's name." And so that's 5 things. One is something they'd want. One is something they'd need, one is something they would wear, one is something they'd read, and one is something that they'd absolutely love. And, so we're doing that with our kids this year, and it's so cool because they're like all about it. They're like, I don't want a bunch of junk, let me figure out what it is that, I care about. And then, and then we're there listening to what it is that they care about, and it's not just, 1,000 pieces of plastic stuff.
Right. I think that's exactly it. I mean, I think we're in the age of customization. One of the things we talk about in the Greatness Zone is how unique and how different we each are on purpose. That we're hardwired to be totally different, totally unique. So what is it that we need to share with the rest of the world that lets them know what's unique about us? So in the workplace, we call it job sculpting. How do you customize a job around somebody's really unique abilities? Well, we do the same thing in families. How do we customize what it is that some kids are into and other kids are into other things? And the more we know that, the more we have the ability of getting it right. So maybe that's what, one of our starting principles here, Mike, is so some guidance for your listeners is how do you get it right? And so it's not so much whether you buy it or don't buy it, and we're going to have some suggestions on what you could do versus what you could buy. But I guess the overarching message, listening to the conversation so far, is how is it right for the person?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I really agree. And I love, Mike, how you brought it back to a practical level for the kids and your example of how you and Kristen found that list, because it's exactly what we were talking about, like from a macro to a micro level, where you're getting specific. You're going deep. You're not going to get them 5, random presents that you saw on TV. Right. You're actually exactly doing that practice. You're getting specific about the things that they want in different areas. And for those 5 presents, they're going to feel like they had 20 because they're going to have 5 different presents that have importance to them. So that's a perfect example of going wide as opposed to going deep.
Yeah, that's great, Mike. I mean, I if my kids were younger, that would be exactly the right way I would think, a healthy way of talking about what gifting is, and that it's not about breaking the bank, but it's about making each one really meaningful. So to me, I find that now, even with my kids older, that we still talk about it just has to be small and appropriate, and the appropriate, I guess, the customized, appropriate, sculpted, whatever the word is really where we're, I guess, throwing it out to offer for parents here. Don't get hoodwinked or browbeaten into thinking you should be waiting in lines and spending a fortune that you maybe don't have just so that you can buy some affection from your kids, when really what they need is maybe a voice in the process that says, here's what would really be meaningful to me. And the fact they can still unwrap it even though they know it's coming. And maybe that's one of the ways that we can start to chase away this need for constant gift giving at the expense of, let's give gifts when the Spirit moves us, and let's do them in a way that makes sense for the person receiving them.
I love that. And that was one of the things that I was talking to a buddy of mine recently, and one of my partners here, and he was telling me that his kids had an assignment in class where they had to write about the things that would be they want more of from their parents. And there was not one thing on that piece of paper that had anything to do with anything Dad had to buy. It was more hugs, more family time, sitting at the table together, more meals together. Like, that's what the kids wanted. And it's like, wow, they're begging for connection, right? That's what we all need as human beings. We're begging for that connection. And so, getting and of course kids are going to want stuff. Let's not kid ourselves. But at the end of the day, they will value that connection more than almost anything else.
Yeah.
Mike, I think this is an opportunity for families to start to rebuild traditions. And so though the tradition might be the moment Thanksgiving is over, we don't even really celebrate it anymore. We can't wait to get it over so that Christmas can get here. So we put our trees up early and everything is strung up in lights. It cracks me up living here in Florida to see everybody put the snowmen out in their yard, the icicles hanging from their tree, and it's 90 degrees down here. But I get that the tradition has always been, this is how we celebrate. So where's the strength in a family that says, here's how we celebrate. Here's how we gift give. Here's how we tell people today, at any point in the year, and all through the year, how much they matter to us. I have a very good friend of mine, and he has this tradition. His tradition is they have a little Christmas tree they leave up all year long, a little tiny one that's on a counter. And the last day of every month, they have a Christmas gift-giving celebration. In their mind, there is no reason, and they're little things that they do just to remind them that the people who are in their lives are gifts to themselves, and they have to stop the busy world enough to say, just remember it now. I love that, and the fact that he has a Christmas tree up all year, people walk in and say, you're kidding me, you can't take this thing down? And he's like, no, I leave it up on purpose, because why would I want to celebrate the fact that I have amazing people in my life only once a year? So again, to me, the bigger view is, where's the tradition? What does the family want to have as its tradition?
It's beautiful, Jay.
Yeah, I agree. That's powerful. And and I liked your point earlier about when the Spirit moves me. Like, we're constantly being, moved. It's like I feel moved to help people all the time. Why would I wait? Until Christmas. And one of the cool things, so this is kind of a segue here, but one of the things that I was thinking about recently was, one of my kids, my daughter Joey, she was complaining that that her other sibling got to go to the store with mom, and she was going to get a treat and she wasn't. And so, she went to Disney yesterday. We went to the YMCA today. Like, all these great things, but she's focused on the one thing she doesn't have. And I think that's what kids kind of do. So how do we help her through that? But to, kind of create that shift is one of the things that we're going to do on Christmas is before we open any gifts, we're going to go to the homeless shelter and we're going to we're going to go to the soup kitchen and basically deliver meals to homeless people and poor people, and then come back and open our gifts. And I think that's pretty radical. But what does that say to a child, and what is the comparative relationship there that they now have in their mind when they open those gifts? Are they going to be more thankful? Are they going to have more appreciation? Is it going to be something a little more special than just, ripping some packages to shreds and playing with some toys? They're going to see by comparison what they actually have.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Mike, I remember early on today you said, it takes basically one generation to change things. Amy, you share that too. So here's the change: is how do you offer to your family how Christmas or holidays or gift giving is for your family, so that they then learn that as their way, and then they share it with their family, and then the next generation too. I think this is part of what we're calling transformational change. This awareness that you show up to a world that's different. Now, I know there's huge pressure, for kids not to go to school and say, well, I got more hugs, and, I can't imagine what that's like when everybody's saying, well, I'm wearing this, and I got this, and I have this phone, and I have this, and now I just get more hugs. But at the same time, when I said that, I have to catch myself. The moment I said that, I just fell right into the same paradigm as everybody else, that I'm going to measure the quality of my Christmas based on the money spent on me. And what if the family says, no, we don't do that. We don't measure it that way. We measure it by the degree of amazingness you had when we did it. And if for you, that's hugs, and if you have a brother who would really want a new shirt, then you get the shirt and you get the hugs. And how is everybody okay? And the parent doesn't look at that and say, well, I spent $50 on that kid's shirt and all I gave you were hugs and it didn't cost me anything. Well, okay, so it's not about tabulating. It's not the accountant in you. It's the quality of the event you build in the moment. And
says the CPA.
Yeah, it says the ex-CPA.
Ex-CPA.
Get out of being a CPA.
I was thinking...
Twitch every time. I'm sorry, Amy, go ahead.
Oh no, I was thinking too about what you guys were talking about, and I actually was thinking how that relates to happiness, because I've done a lot of research on happiness, and one of the leading top 5 factors of happiness is a relative comparison. Like, once you get past the need of basic food, clothing, and shelter on your basic level and health, then happiness it doesn't go up as much as people think in terms of buying things or doing things. So once you have kind of your basic needs met, one of the leading factors of happiness is, like what Mike said, he's going to take his kids to a place where they can be of service, where they can see, and they develop this kind of compassion, and then they come home and they're just like, every single present to them is bigger. And it's not because it's not a comparative thing, like I have more than them, but it's a relative thing.
Yep.
And so this is one of the major factors of happiness research, is that when we actually, the purpose of the service is beautiful in its manifestation, that we're helping someone. That's kind of the bottom line. But then the kind of extrinsic goal is that we, in comparative to our life, we feel happier. Because we're able to come home to a house that has hot water, and we're able to have presents under our tree, or however people are celebrating their holiday. And it kind of puts it quickly into perspective, and that brings people immediate happiness. So I think that's a beautiful thing you're doing with your kids, Mike, and I think that's, it doesn't have to be kids. I mean, I love doing that at Thanksgiving. I like going and helping, because it changes the way I think about the rest of my year. But I think that was beautiful. That beautiful idea, to share.
Yeah, and it's funny because we think about success and how we track down success, and then so many people are finding themselves to be they're measuring themselves up against people who have done more, experienced more, have more. More, and so
Right.
their relative happiness is lower because they're
Exactly.
comparing themselves higher, as opposed to looking at the relativity of what it is that I actually have versus what my life could be. And I think that's kind of the beauty of the human spirit and the human mind, and the kind of what you're talking about in regards to happiness.
Exactly.
Well, my mind is sufficiently blown.
Wait. We have to give them some gift ideas.
Let's do that. Let's absolutely do. Oh, I did want to make one other point, Jay. When you were talking about the thinking as a family and saying, okay, well, no, let's talk. Let's do more hugs, and as opposed to one of the things that I have found personally is when I have a new idea, I like jump on it, right? And my tendency in the past has been to install that new idea or belief into the family as opposed to guiding the family to it, right? So my job as a father has significantly changed over time. Well, it hasn't changed. I'm just learning how to be a better father. But the idea is to really have everybody at the table, and everybody comes up with these things together. And our job is not to, install this, but it's to kind of pull it out because it's already in there. I mean, this stuff is, we're not teaching people anything that isn't inherent to humanity. This is just stuff that we've forgotten. And so how do we help our children remember, and bring out what it is that we innately have? And so I just wanted to make that point to parents out there, how important it is to, be sitting at a table together and talk about this stuff and not just kind of install it into the family.
And
I'm sorry, Amy, go ahead.
I was going to say, and I agree with Mike, what Jay said too about tradition. I love that. And to me, tradition is kind of inserting a habit of love. So Jay's talking about these people who have the tree. I mean, that's basically, we're cultivating a new habit of love all the time. And if you look at a tradition like that, then you kind of get out of that old, paradigm of tradition. Some people have a mixed feeling about that. But the way Jay described it is an immense amount of meaning and love. And in that regard, I just think that is something that we do all the time. And if we do that as a habit, like Jay pointed out, I think that's a great way to think of tradition.
Yeah, and so couple that with Mike's reminder that traditions are born out of the discussion about what works for us, rather than so we talk about the parent, the coach, the mentor, right? So we can be the telling parent, here's how Christmas is going to be, or it can be, guys, what Christmas traditions would you like to be ours? Nobody else, it's just ours. What is the right way, the fun way, the amazing way, the whatever way you want? So like you talk about, so all right, so we got 3 Italians here. I'm sure you had family meetings like I had family meetings. So we handled everything at the table up to and including this. And it's how we prep up for it. So look, guys, in the next couple of weeks, it's going to get really busy here. I want this family to stay sane and happy in this holidays. What do you think we should do? How do you think we should gift give? And that's why I wanted to give some ideas, so that when people come together in their family meetings and talk about how holiday needs to be for them so they leave happy. Because to me, I find the most disappointing moment of the year is like Christmas morning, 5 minutes after you opened all your presents. Because there was all this expectation going into it so that we could open a gift, instead of, how am I celebrating the fact that this is a holiday when we change everything about what we do so we spend more time with each other? And in that, I think the conversation about how to be ready for it, how do we be healthy and happy in it, how do we spend our money, only the money that we have versus the money that we don't have, I think become really great family topics. And so, Mike, on a regular basis, we talk about the greatness conversation, right? Where we're challenging parents to stop telling and do a little bit more asking. Here's a great opportunity to bring the kids into a conversation that maybe they're not part of normally. As the parents get busy and they're busy buying all the stuff and getting these people are coming and these people are going to be here and then we're going to this place and that place. What if we just stopped for a minute and said, so what are 3 things that would make your Christmas amazing? And you talk to your kids. That's a question. So now I'm saying, I'm not telling them anything, I'm asking. And in it, how would you like to do gift giving this year? What's one thing you want to give, one thing you want to do? And so that happens to be my thinking, that there's a combination of giving and doing. But in that conversation, you know, and what we're trying to do is throw some ammunition out there so families can decide what they want to do. But I think the power in all of this is choosing a tradition, having a meeting about it, and opening it up so every voice gets heard.
All right, master of segues. So, great job, Jay. No, it's great. So, Jay, why don't we shoot it over to Amy? So, Amy, what are some things that you feel, that you'd like to share with our listener about some things that they could gift. One of the things Amy mentioned to me was gifting to yourself. Like, how do you gift to yourself in the holiday season?
Well, one of the things I thought about and I was writing about is that I've noticed, especially around the holidays, things kind of get off routine. And I typically like that. Some people don't like that. People have different feelings about being on a routine or not routine. But what I notice for myself is that it actually, I'm looking at it a little bit differently. I'm looking at it like it's opening up a little more time for me to do things on my routine that are really important to me. So I always think about this around the holidays, like before Thanksgiving. There seems to be these 2 months where things kind of, they diverge a little from the normal pace of the year. And sometimes, we let things creep in about the past or things that maybe make us sad, or it kind of gives people more time to think. And what I think is a good gift to give yourself is that you take that time, that extra time, although time and space are illusions. And as a practical level, you take that time and you kind of use it to, kind of go deeper into your routine. What are the things on your routine that really have a lot of meaning for you? And then maybe you can use that extra time to do more of those things. So I really like that. And I've been thinking more about that and actually been doing it more myself. And it's made me feel really kind of centered and peaceful around the holidays. Because it could kind of go a different way when we go out of structure. Sometimes we tend to, we're kind of more out of what we normally do. But if we kind of know that going in and we're kind of one step ahead, and then we kind of know, oh, well, geez, here's an extra hour I didn't have during August or July. And you use that to something that's important to you. That really makes, for me, has a lot of meaning, and it makes me feel like moving from a place of success into following more of what I want to do to be significant. That really bolsters my, mood and feeling and happiness.
And it creates that center for you, right? That's one of the things, I think that's why it's so important to have a daily spiritual practice is, for me, it's meditation. I sit every day. At least for 15 minutes in meditation. And one of the things, I've mentioned this before, but ancient Buddhist philosophy is if you should meditate 20 minutes every day. If you're too busy, meditate for an hour.
I like that. I like that.
Because that's what we do. We get ourselves so worked up over the little things, right? I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to buy this, I got to buy that. And, we're all about all those little pebbles, and we're not doing the big rocks. And when you're focused on the big rocks, the things that are most important to you in your life, I promise you, everything else falls into place. And, I get myself worked up, and then I go, you know what? I've got a list of 10,000 things to do. I'll sit down and meditate for 5 minutes, and all that stress goes away. And then I can easily and smoothly do what I have to do next.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
Jay, what about you, brother?
Because I was an accountant, I have a list. Very quickly. Sorry, I'm trying to change, but it doesn't. So I grew up in a family where we were encouraged more to do than to give. To give time and of yourself more than of things. And so we used to have to make gifts. In fact, Uncle would make fun of us because everybody in the family would get whatever we're making that year. He would call it the mill, and then we would just kick out things. So I have 5 things that I think are really great ideas, gifts to give and 5 things to do. So I'll go through them real quick. So in the Shameless Self promotion, which you did indicate in the beginning that we would. So I will first talk about Amy's amazing book. So Amy has a fabulous book of poetry, Symphony Upon My Soul. My recommendation is that. My recommendation on the Greatness Zone for a book to give to your kids so they can start to chart their own life. To me, that seems like a really important thing. There's another really great book out there called The 1,000 Little Things Happy, Successful People Do. It's by authors Mark and Angel, M-A-R-C and Angel. They write a wonderful blog. So that's a book that's out there. 3 other quick things for ideas. I am a huge fan of the gift card. So if you are giving a gift, here is your choice to stand at the counter and look at all the choices you have and pick the one that fits. And I love that. So my recommendation is gift cards. Let people use the experience or have the experience that they'd like. Number 4 for me is an experience. We got into the habit of doing like a Broadway show, and not Broadway, but like a musical and dinner. And so we would take the kids, they'd get dressed up, we'd go out to dinner and then do that, and that was our big event. We had a family event. It was the experience, not the stuff. They didn't need to throw more stuff out at the end of it. The final thing from a thing to give is a donation. So I know some people adore animals. To give the supplies for one pet to be okay for 30 days, that's a rug, some food, things like that. That's the whole family could do that and give that. So if you're going to give something, it could be that. So 5 quick things that you could give. I'll just give you a couple of the things you could do. The gift of service and support. How would you make something better for somebody else? How does the family, Mike, doing like you're doing? We're going to go to the soup kitchen or to the support place. That part of it is we as a family give of ourselves. That's the way that we give the gift. Gift of change. Okay, this is for the Mataluni house because it was totally for the 40 house. Talk to your kids and say, your gift to your sister is one thing you do to aggravate her all the time, you will stop doing. So that's a huge gift. When there's a kid who never gets a moment alone, I was thinking about what you were talking about with one of your kids. Your oldest one never gets any time to herself because the younger one wants to be around all the time. So how do you give her a little bit of time? That's a gift. What's the habit that you have to stop? And that's a great thing in a married couple too. Here's the one thing I know totally aggravates you, that the cereal bowl is in the kitchen sink when I come down in the morning. Why is that? You know what? My gift to you is that will never be that way again. So something just like that could do. The 2 other ones, the gift of storytelling. I love this with the kids. We sit around and we say, so tell me about a time when you laughed so hard you peed your pants. Tell me about a time when something made you really sad. Tell me about your favorite vacation. And the whole thing becomes the gift of the story. And the last one, which is impossible to do, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway, the gift of unplugging. That you say one day a weekend, everybody's phone comes off, the computers go down, and we all act like people. And that would be a really hard, but think of the quality of that gift. So those are just some ideas, some things to give, some things to do.
Those are fantastic.
Yeah. I was thinking about that too, and I think that's so important. I had a list of some things I wrote down, and it's interesting hearing you talk and listening to how all of our ideas they seem to intertwine. And I think that's the beauty of, sharing conversation, is that we see that these things are important to us, and it is important that we talk about them because they end up on our list too, right?
Good point.
Yeah. And actually, that was the number 1 thing on the thing I thought of what's a good gift to give to another. And the number 1 thing I wrote is your full attention.
Mine was too. Mine was time also.
Yeah.
Without iPods or iPads or anything like that. So that's great. I love it.
That's ridiculous, because I think all 3 of us, and I made a point of not reading your guys' list until I wrote mine, and I think we all wrote time was the number 1 thing. Yeah. And then so for me, it was give someone the gift of time. Anyone can buy something or write a check, right? So it's about, what can I do for my wife? maybe she needs some time alone. Where can I take the kids? What can I do to give her a little more time? And I love your point, Jay, about the cereal bowl and the sink. How many times do you open a gift and you're like, but would like love for your partner just to do stop doing that one thing that totally drives you nuts, right? That was really cool. One of the other things I had was we're members at our local YMCA, and it's a very reasonable. It's like $105 a month for all 5 of us, and it's just crazy. But the reason that is because of philanthropists and people who donate, and so one of the other things that they do is you can donate specifically to get a kid in there who can't afford it. And so, like, going to your local YMCA and donating something to them so that they can then take a kid in who wouldn't otherwise be able to be a part of it, I think is fantastic.
Love that.
Yeah, and then my other one was what we're doing for Christmas morning, and then going out there and doing service Christmas morning to really give the family a sense of service. And to your point, Amy, happiness is relative. And so how do we begin to cultivate, true happiness in ourselves by not only doing more for others, but by realizing that what we do have is so amazing and valuable. And then to go right in, and so we were talking about this earlier, Jay, and this is something I've been on the lookout for a great product. And one of the things that really attracted the 3 of us together was just our philosophies, and we all felt like each had a different kind of piece to the puzzle. I don't think we consciously all thought that at first, but we kind of were just all drawn together, I think, for that reason. But one of the things that I really talking to Jay a lot about, and then was excuse me, on the show I was talking a lot about the putting the oxygen mask on yourself first, and until we as parents begin to really get true to ourselves, it's very difficult to be great mentors for our kids. And so that was kind of where the greatness zone kind of filled that, that piece for us. And then, with Amy, just understanding how important the unconditional love is, and then the recycling happiness, right? So Amy took my wife's blog and then shared it with somebody, and so she recycled happiness throughout our entire sphere of influence. So those are 2 powerful things. And then how do we begin to connect with our kids? So we've got those ideas, but one of the things that I found it's a game / family meeting, because we were struggling with our family meetings, in that the kids really loved the fun ones, but they didn't want to talk about the values and the feelings and stuff like that. So what I found was it's called Family Table Time, and it's actually a game as well as a family meeting. So it does both, and we've been playing it for 2 weeks, and it's been phenomenal. Last week it was about sacrifice, and now all this week my kids have been talking about sacrifice. Joey just sacrificed that for me, and so those are things that I'm just seeing going, wow. So I've got together with Neil Kimball from Family Table Time, and we're actually going to be promoting that product on the Kick-Ass Dad website. It's going up a little later next week, but Neil is offering a free download on my site that our listener can get now, and it's called 6 Strengths That Strong Families Have in Common, and it's a downloadable PDF that you'll be able to go ahead and download now, and then we'll kind of walk you through what Family Table Time is about. But I'd also like to shamelessly promote Jay's book, The Greatness Zone. It's $15, but what you can do is, again, we're talking about service, is, if you want to buy 5 copies, then go out and, give 4 to somebody who needs them. That's an ability to serve and to give. And then for us, what we're going to do is we're going to take 10% of all profits made on all of this, and I work with an organization here in Orlando that supports our BHAG and our Big Hairy Audacious Goal, which is to create community centers with art, music, sustainable agriculture, and really help kids to, our goal is to ignite a renaissance, in these cities. And so this is how we plan to do that. So 10% of all donations are going to go to this fund, and then to this nonprofit that I serve on the board of directors for. And then anything that you purchase via our website, the CAD website, Amy Alcini's book, she's also been so gracious as to do the same thing. So if you're looking for something for your lover, something that, the book is really, Amy's book is amazing because it's a book of poetry about what real love is. And it's not, the materialism, and it's not all these things that our society has built us up to think it is. So Amy, kudos to you on writing a beautiful book of poetry. And thank you for volunteering that for the site and for us to raise money, for our cause and to do what we're doing here at CAD. It's truly powerful. So thank you for that. You can also get you can pre-order my book, 10 Parenting Myths Shattered, on the site as well. And then any purchase of that, you'll also get any pre-order of that, you'll get a 30-minute connection with me, just to kind of, if you want to talk about the book, talk about your life, ask any questions. That's something that I feel like I can do for our listener, and I love to be of service. So that's something that it speaks to me. And also, if you'd like to donate directly to the BHAG, we do have a link on the Kick-Ass Dad website that you can link directly to that. We can do a $50 donation. We've also got Kick-Ass Dad t-shirts and mugs on the site that you can purchase separately. Or, and again, those 10% of all those sales go to the BHAG. But you can also donate directly. A $50 donation gets you a Kick-Ass Dad t-shirt and a mug for that special man in your life. And a $100 donation gets 2 shirts and 4 mugs. So that is the end, thank God, of my shameless self-promotion.
Nicely done.
I have to say, what a powerful conversation we have all had today. And I think this needs to be, we need to get the three of us together on a regular basis. We are going to be, I don't know, do we share anything about us getting together for our U-Power, or do we wait on that? I guess the cat's out of the bag.
I think you need to share a little bit about that. With the collective genius of these three minds, which were roaming on their own until they bumped into each other, and synergy in its best. The sum of us is not 3, but we're 9 or 12 or 50 or 100, because there's no stopping people who are believing in this awareness that we should show up big to our lives. We should be happy, we should serve others, and we should know where our greatness is. And those 3 similar messages are rolling themselves into some beautiful things that we're going to do. That I'll pass it back to you, Mike. It's your show. Share a little bit about the Power of You, the Telesummit, and some of the other things that are on the boards.
Absolutely. So the Power of You program that the three of us are collaborating on is a program of transformation. And so the idea is, looking at what Amy's done and the work that she's done and what she's put together with Recycling Happiness, and her understanding of how do we really show up to the world, and how do we begin to take off the coats and the belief systems that we have been so dramatically introduced to for such a long time. And so the idea is the beginning of the program revolves around Amy helping our guests and our listener to begin to take away some of the things that have kind of get in our way, the things that sabotage us from success and significance. So to begin to peel away the layers of experiences that we've had that have kind of jaded us, and they've made us not happy people. And so that Amy is gonna help pull those away, and then Jay steps in with the power of greatness and how to understand what you're passionate about, what your potential is, and what your purpose is. And by aligning those 3 things, you begin to step into the world in a bigger way. You're going to go after bigger and bolder, as opposed to just chasing after money and success. And so that's kind of the beauty of how we take the clothes off to begin to put on a new layer and a new way of thinking. And then what I will do is take you through service and how to begin to, now that you know the things that weren't serving you, and you've taken those away, and you've begin to put on a new understanding of self and passion, potential, and purpose. Now, what are you going to do with that? How are you going to go out into the world and change it? I had an email come from a lady not too long ago saying, Mike, I just don't, I love listening to your show, but I just don't know what my passion is. I just don't know what my purpose is. Well, that's what we're here to help with. That's what we're going to help to reveal to you, not by telling you what it is, but by helping you look internally to see what it is, because it's in there. But it's up to you as the individual to begin to take off the layers of what society has told you it is and begin to mold yourself in a new way. And then, so how can you then take your newfound passion, power, and potential and put it into something of service? How can you better the world? And by doing that, by completing that circle, that's the circle of fulfillment. And that's what's going to give us so much more in life and give us an ability to live and show up to life in not only a big way that serves us, but a big way that serves the world and really creates a society that we choose for the next generation. And I think that's where kind of the power of our collaboration makes so much sense.
Mike, can I add one thing?
Please.
So I have this perception that that the world is built by the people who are here right now. And if we've got a bunch of people who are listening to everybody else instead of their true power, their true internal self, unaware of how to show up big, that they're just doing enough to get by, and most people are, then the world that we have is a really average world, because we're the product of those and the perspectives that we have. So the power of you is the reminder that down deep in you is everything you need to be amazing. You've got it already. Just everybody has told you it's not quite good enough, so you've done a very good job of ignoring that. So as Mike said, Amy's going to help us undo the stuff that we've been listening to, so that my piece then builds up a little bit and your piece says, let's not think about change, let's think about transformation. Let's say this is our world, and how big, how great, how amazing, how awesome could we make it by changing the mindset of the people who are in it, by helping them access their deepest and truest power.
You guys are getting me so excited about this, because I'm listening and I'm feeling exactly this full circle as Mike talked about. And one of the poems in my book is, you guys have described it. And I'm sitting here going, wow, because I just have had poetry readings. And so I'm starting to read more and memorizing these poems that I've written. And there's one poem in the book called What You've Been Brought. And I'll read it because it's pretty much within the scope of what we're talking about. I just think I'll read it.
Thank you.
Nay, you are your skin or bone, personality or question of thought. You're eternally divine. More than this, turn inward to see what you've been brought. Listen to the voice inside it all and ask that voice to begin. Trust in your knowledge, because you are, my love, the living impressionism of art. Sauntering through sunsets, cascading in streams, you hold the helm of your heart. You are the one, your assignment's chosen. It's you who's called to lead. So put on your hat and roll up your sleeves. The Creator said there is no more you need. No time to waste in another's thought. The key to your soul is yours. Be true in conviction and love through no condition, in the unimaginable generosity you've been brought.
I have goosebumps.
Bravo. Bravo.
Phew, full circle, my love. Oh my goodness. So
nice.
Gosh, Amy, that's so powerful. So thank you so much for sharing that. And that's in your book that we're offering on CAD website, right?
Symphony Upon My Soul, yes.
Yep.
Beautiful, beautiful. We have much more to share with you about You Power Media and the power of you, and greatness coaching and all that kind of stuff. So feel free to take a look online. You can actually follow the link to Jay's website for the coaching as well. Amy will also be joining us in that coaching process. So we have a lot going on here. Again, at the end of the day, it's about how we can show up in a way that truly represents our most epic self. And each of us has one, and each of us is one. It's simply the beliefs that we've been given over time that have taken away that epicness of who you are. So thank you both for your collaboration, your support, your love. It is mirrored in me and sent back to you many, many folds. So thank you both for joining me today, and we have to do this a lot more often.
Thanks, Mike. Look forward to it.
Sending you guys love.
Thanks, Amy.
Thanks, guys. All right, bye-bye. Thank you for listening to Kick-Ass Dad, and welcome to the movement. You can join us on our mission to create a bright future for the next generation by checking us out on Twitter. Go to Twitter/KickassDad1. Sign up for the newsletter and check out our global mission at kickassdadblog.com. In the newsletter, we're going to share with you resources from me and our guests, weekly inspiration, interview summaries, and upcoming events. Check out our new YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com/KickassDad1. Check us out on Facebook. That's 3 words, Kick-Ass Dad. When on the page, please invite your friends to like it. You can send us feedback and requests at kickassdad1@gmail.com. Check us out on LinkedIn. Our group page is Kick-Ass Dad. That's 3 words. Please donate. Help us raise the capital to support CAD and my BHAG to create community centers that support the arts, music, sustainable agriculture, and cutting-edge education in impoverished communities. Go to the website to donate. We're going to be doing a webinar and releasing our first ebook, 10 Parenting Myths and How to Destroy Them, in tandem with the release of our CAD coaching program. Thanks to our contributors, my wife Kristen, my kids Cyrus, Joey, and Rory. Thanks to David Pagan, Jason Huey, Dan Lazaro, Jay Forty, Amy Alcini, Dwayne Walter, Luke Anderson. If this show has had a positive impact on you in any way, please share a specific episode with a friend or family member so that it can do the same for them. Don't forget, please, please, please leave a review on iTunes. It helps us leverage this podcast and the message. Make today your best day so we can create a beautiful tomorrow for the next generation. I'm going to catch you on the flip.